Hello again. My name is Liam, and you're on my YouTube channel. Sorry I missed yesterday. It's such a new channel, and here I am already skipping days. But given the whole academic schedule, this is my spring cleaning time. So I've been working around the house and getting rid of things, making more space. I actually added several new bookcases to the library because I was tired of books piled up here and there. So that's kept me pretty busy. As it is, I'm exhausted and would rather even skip tonight, but I'm not going to. In fact, I've got a few things I wanted to talk about. In fact, I had a topic already for yesterday that I wanted to do again today, but I'm actually going to kick it down to tomorrow, because I've got another issue that sort of came up here. Now, just as by way of a quick apology, I know the lighting might not be great in this room, but I didn't feel like moving out of the library, and I'm sure you can put up with it for the day. Okay, so I was going to talk about identity politics today, sort of building on the discussion last time about identity in general and sort of political identity and how these things are built up. And in a way, I'm still going to get at that today, but I'm going to come back to the topic another day as well, because there was a bit of interesting news out of Washington yesterday that I want to comment on. Jeff Sessions' Justice Department filed a brief in an interesting case that I think deserves a moment. It deserves a moment's discussion, and I can definitely fit it into this broader framework of identity that we've been working on lately. Now, Sessions' Justice Department has to be one of the most reactionary in our modern history, and he's piled on quite a few different policy realignments that we're going to be feeling the consequences of for quite some time, and in a wide variety of areas too, from immigration to healthcare to the environment. But the decision yesterday is the fourth time that the Justice Department has jumped into a case involving university policies. Now, this is a case brought by a right-wing group against the University of Michigan, against their bullying policies. They have They had a number of policies trying to target microaggressions and sort of trying to prevent microaggressions on campus. And we can be cynical about this and think, well, this sort of fits the overall pattern of this Justice Department and this administration. Here is Jeff Sessions defending people's right to be publicly racist, to parade around and with these hard right views. But in this case, I think that perhaps accidentally, Sessions' Justice Department is actually doing the right thing. Because for quite some time, university policies have been drifting farther and farther into this attempt to manage microaggressions, manage bullying, setting up safe spaces, trying to prevent clashes on campus. And it really has reversed a long-standing trend where the universities in the United States used to be in the forefront of protecting freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And now, because some people want to express genuinely awful views, they're reversing the entire policy. And I don't see how that makes a lot of sense. I guess maybe I hold too much to that that old Enlightenment value about protecting the speech even of people that you disagree with. Now, of course, by that I mean, of course, in terms of public policy. I don't think that it's the state's place to step in and regulate speech, and I don't think that it's the university's place to step in and regulate speech. How people deal with that themselves, that's a whole different issue, and we can talk about that in another day. I actually had a nice argument this morning about protest and counter-protest, the whole Antifa phenomenon. We can come back to that another time. But I do want to discuss this whole question of safe spaces and bullying policies in general, because I do understand in some way some of the impetus for it, because these are genuinely awful ideas. And it seems that university administrations and college administrations across the country have been seeing their role as providing a kind of, a nurturing or a safe environment for learning, so that people can focus on learning and not have to be stressed out by all of the awful things in life. Yes, there are racists out there, but maybe you don't want to have to deal with racism right now, and instead you can concentrate on your sociology homework, your calculus homework, etc., etc. The things that are going to eat up more of your time. They want to give people the sort of space to sort of explore themselves and grow and whatnot here, without having to deal with all these complications. There is, from my perspective, a flaw in that logic, though. And again, I'm going to approach this from a left and or liberal perspective. So I am not on the whole Jordan Peterson sort of bandwagon here. I'm not with the whole Milo and all that crap, supporting free speech because, but they do have a basic point. There is something to the kind of perspective that they're laying out, and I think it's worth taking seriously. If you're at a college or university, you're there ostensibly to learn, right? And it is a simple fact that learning requires challenges. You have to challenge yourself and or be challenged by other people. That's honestly what the role of academics is in many ways, is to challenge people, to give them work to do, give them readings to do, and choosing readings not to try and just get a particular answer or lead the people by the nose, but really to challenge them to think on their own, challenge them to grow, to stimulate them. You're supposed to be exposed to a variety of perspectives, a variety of viewpoints. You're supposed to immerse yourself in a lot of this material here in order to push yourself to understand it. If you limit your exposure to ideas that make you uncomfortable, if we in the universities have to issue trigger warnings, this will be an uncomfortable subject, and give people an option to leave and not deal with that subject, then they will not be challenged by it. They will not learn how to deal with it. And lo and behold, when they come across this sort of thing in the post-college world, out in the quote-unquote real world, what are they going to do? How are they going to deal with it? People are going to college in your late teens, early 20s. It's a time to mature, to grow, to push yourself, such that when you step out of that, you're actually a better person. You're a stronger person. You're a person better able to deal with adversity and better able to challenge the racists and the reactionaries. Think about this. If you have to deal with some kind of neo-Nazi rally or an anti-gay rally or something on campus, and they're parading around with their horrible crap, their God hates fags or whatever. It doesn't matter the issue, honestly. If you have to deal with that, and it's something that bothers you, it's something that would trigger you, it's something that would make you uncomfortable, having to deal with it gives you the opportunity to formulate a response, to think, how will I deal with this? How will I talk to this person? How will I deal with it with myself? How will I deal with the emotional turmoil this might cause? What kind of counter arguments might I come up with for my friends? How might I explain this to other people? How can I maybe set this aside so it doesn't bother me? Maybe tune it out. I mean, it doesn't, again, matter which direction you go with it. The point is, it presents an opportunity, and an opportunity for growth. I think that I probably was influenced too early on by a certain cultural characteristic of ancient Greece that Friedrich Nietzsche often pointed to. He called it the agonistic life, the sense that the Greeks embraced challenges, that they did not shy away from them. A mountain was there to be climbed, right? The lion was there to be fought, to be tamed, not to run away from them. And I see the attempt to entirely prevent the possibility of people being upset by these microaggression behaviors. And again, microaggressions themselves are a bad thing. They do harm people. There is an actual harm involved. I'm not disputing that at all. But by running from the challenge, by, in the university's case, preventing the rallies, by stopping people from doing these things, by shutting them out entirely, you never have the opportunity to figure out what your reaction would be. How would you deal with it? Do you fight back? Do you form a counter protest? Do you yell at them? Do you walk away? Do you listen and try to process what they're doing and think about what's wrong with it? How are you going to deal with this? That is going to vary from person to person, but it is a simple fact that you're going to have to deal with these attitudes in the rest of your life as well. College isn't the only time you're going to be exposed to uncomfortable ideas, but it does present a safer environment in which to be exposed to these uncomfortable ideas, because you are still in college and there are people to talk to, there are counselors, there are other students, there are faculty members, there are people you can turn to help you to process this, to explain it, to put it in a context for you. Whereas running into these things, 5 years down the line somewhere else, you're not going to have that opportunity. So you're not going to have the same, opportunities to really work on how you want to respond. What is the best way to respond? Again, if college is about maturing in the first place and it's about growing in the first place, why not take that seriously? So I would oppose the idea of preventing these kind of discussions in the first place, and I would encourage the universities to allow these things and instead to find a different approach. I think a better way forward for the universities would be to provide a range of solutions to students to deal with these people. You could increase counseling, some kind of group counseling for people who are bothered by something. You could give people support and assistance in putting together some kind of counter protest, to sort of rally against something. You could sponsor a seminar, maybe have student presenters or faculty presenters discuss what these ideas are, why are they in play right now, what is the basic issue going on here, and how can we fight back? Because simply shutting them out, it does two things. One, it weakens the students, because it doesn't. It again, like I said a moment ago, takes away that opportunity for them to grow. It also It strengthens the right, the reactionary right, because it gives them a martyrdom complex. It makes them feel that they're persecuted, that they're victims, that they're being shut out. And for many people, that can make them feel that their cause is right, that somehow the fact that they're being shut out means that people are made uncomfortable by the truth. So it strengthens their hand, and three, it weakens the left, because it weakens their ability to organize alternatives to it, their own kind of counter protests. It weakens their rhetorical ability, the ability to counter these arguments, to face them, to come head to head, whether physically or at least verbally, and address these concerns. And the whole question here too, and I'll come back to this another day, of shutting out uncomfortable ideas and shutting out uncomfortable people and pulling into groups of like-minded people, that weakens people, that weakens the left, all right, and strengthens the right. And I think in the long run, that is a significant problem for us. So that's my discussion for today. I'll keep it relatively short. If you're enjoying my little chats, be sure to subscribe. There's a little button down here somewhere. And I'll see you guys again soon.